One, two, one, two. Yeah, oh my god, I accidentally switched my computer off. Yeah, basically what happened was that my, my beer suddenly started to fizz, so I sort of freaked out and did my best to contain it. And so I think my foot pressed a switch that was from behind and basically turned off my laptop, my PC. So yeah, oops a daisy. I need to get everything sorted up again. 1 second. Is everyone still here? Oh, yay. Oh, thank God for that. Oh, stop calling it the Wimpy effect, Kami. Ay, Dios mío. Je ne sais quoi. Okay, let's get the cats back on. And where is this? Going here. There's my cats. Je ne sais quoi. Let's move this down here, I think, for now. Now, hopefully, nothing bad will happen again. Pug found his. Oops. He's certainly very sleepy, Kay, that's for sure. Pug found the situation more perplexing than any he had ever even known. Just when he had come through the most harrowing experience of his young life, he is faced with one that sent his mind reeling with a different sort of confusion. Without thinking, he held the princess in his arms, and now he was suddenly aware of the contact and her soft, warm appeal. And her soft, a protective, masculine feeling welled up inside him, and he started to step toward her. As if sensing his mood change, Caroline retreated, for all her curtly raised an indication. She was still a girl of 15 and was disturbed by the rush of emotions she had experienced When he had held her, she took refuge in one thing she knew well, her role as princess of the castle. Trying to sound commanding, she said, "I'm glad to see you are unhurt, boy." Pug winced visibly at that. She struggled to regain her aristocratic bearing, but her red nose and tear-stained face undermined her attempt. "Ride my horse, and we shall return to the keep." Pug felt as if his nerves were raw. Keeping tight control over his voice, he said, "I'm sorry, Your Highness, but the horses have run off. I'm afraid we'll have to walk." Caroline felt abused and mistreated. It was not Pug's fault any of the afternoon's event had taken place, but her often indulged temper seized on the handiest available object. "Walk. I can't walk all the way to the keep," she snapped, looking at Pug as if he were supposed to do something about this matter at once and without question. Pug felt all the anger, confusion, hurt, and frustration of the day surge up within him. "Then you can bloody well sit here until they notice you're missing and send someone to fetch you," he was now shouting. "I figured that will be about 2 hours after sunset." Caroline stepped back, her face ashen, looking as if she'd been slapped. Her lower lip trembled, and she seemed on the verge of tears again. "I will not be spoken to in that manner, boy." Pug's eyes grew large, and he stepped toward her, gesturing with the wine bottle. "I nearly got myself killed trying to keep you alive," he shouted. "Do I hear 1/3 of thanks? No. All I hear is whining, complaint that you can't walk back to the castle. We of the keep may be low-born, but at least we have enough manners to thank someone when it's deserved." Oh, damn. Good on you, Pug. He knows when to talk, doesn't he? As he spoke, he could feel the anger flooding out of him. "You can stay here if you like, but I'm going." You suddenly realize that you're standing with the bottle raised high overhead in a ridiculous pose. The princess's eyes were on the loaf of bread, and he realized he was holding this belt, thumb nooked in a loop, which only added to the awkward appearance. Only added to the awkward appearance. He sputtered for a moment, then felt his anger evaporate and lowered the bottle. The princess looked at him, her large eyes peeking over her fists, which she held before her face. Pug started to say something, thinking she was afraid of him, when he saw she was laughing. It was a musical sound, warm and unmocking. "I'm sorry, Pug," she said, "but you look so silly standing there like that." "You look like one of those awful statues they erect in Condor, with bottle held high instead of a sword." Pug shook his head. "And one who's sorry, Your Highness. I had no right to yell at you that way. Please forgive me." Oh. Hold up. What happened to the cats? I thought I turned them on. Oops, forgot to connect them. Yeah, no, I was just waiting for the ads to finish. Her expression abruptly changed to one of concern. What does it say? Attention, coming soon to a chat near you. In a world where sleeping is for the weak, join our nocturnal heroes K-Mads and Gummy Gum and the Night Owl Saga as they defy the Sandman with Rimpy, Tail Wags, and idea of pets. Witness their roller coaster of emotions from celebrations to cry. But beware the mysterious Rimpy effect that looms over. Will they stay awake or succumb to slumber? Stay tuned as they shake it off with Typogashi Resilience. Ay, Dios mío. No sleep squad. Yep, exactly. No, Pug. You had every right to say what you did. I really do owe you my life, and I acted horribly. She stepped closer to him and placed a hand on his arm. Thank you. Pug was overcome by the sight of her face. Any illusion to rid himself of his boyhood fantasies about her now carried away on a sea breeze. The marvelous fact of his using magic was replaced by more urgent and basic considerations. He started to reach for her, then the reality of her cetacean introduced, and he presented the bottle to her. Wine? She laughed, sensing his sudden shift in thought. They both rang out, a little giddy from the ordeal, but she still held on to her wrists and understood the effect she was having on him. With a nod, she took the bottle and sipped. Recovering a shred of poise, Pug said, "We'd better hurry. We might make the keep by nightfall." She nodded, keeping her eyes upon him, and smiled. Pug was feeling comfortable under her gaze and turned toward the ready to keep other than. She fell into step beside him. After a moment, she asked, "May I have some bread too, Pug?" Pug had run the distance between the bluffs and the keep many times before, but the princess was unused to walking such distances, and her soft riding boots were ill suited to such an undertaking. When they came to view of the castle, she had one arm draped over Pug's shoulder and was limping badly. A shout went up from the great tower, and guards came running towards them. After them came the Lady Marina, the girl's governess. Her red dress pulled up before her, she sprinted towards the princess. Although twice the size of the court ladies, and few of the guards as well, she outdistanced them all. She was coming on like a she-bear whose cub was being attacked. Her great bosom heaved with the effort as she reached the sight girl and grasped her in a hug that threatened to engulf Caroline completely. Soon the ladies of the court were gathered around the princess, overwhelming her with questions. Before the din subsided, Lady Marina turned and fell on Pug like the sow bear she resembled. "How dare you allow the princess come to such a state? Limping in, dress all torn and dirty. I'll see you whipped from one end of the keep to the other." Before I have done with you, I'll wish you'd never seen the light of day. Well, it's not Pug's fault, it was freaking Carolina's fault for freaking everything that happened. Bloody hell. Backing away before the onslaught, Pug was overwhelmed by confusion, unable to get a word in. Sensing that somehow Pug was responsible for the princess's condition, one of the guards stepped up and seized him by the arm. Leave him alone. Silence descended as Caroline forced her way between the governess and Pug. A small fist stuck at the guard as he let go of Pug and fell back with a look of astonishment on his face. Yeah, she was a spoiled princess until then, I guess. I guess that interaction with the trolls has given her some thought. Silence descended as Carolina forced her way between the governess and Pug. A small fist struck at the guard as he let go of Pug and fell back with a look of astonishment on his face. He saved my life. He almost got killed saving me. Tears were running down her face. He's done nothing wrong, and I won't have any of you bullying him. The crowd closed in around them, regarding Pug with newfound respect. Hushed voices sounded from all sides, and one of the guards ran to carry the news to the castle. The princess placed her arm around Pug's shoulder once more, and started toward the gate. The crowd parted, and two weary travelers could see the torches and lanterns being lit on the roll. Yeah, this is what happens when I read out loud sometimes, is that I missay words. I am not going to be saying Gip, Gummy. By the time they had reached the courtyard gate, the princess had consented to let two of her ladies help her, much to Pug's relief. He could not have believed that such a slight girl could become such a burden. The Duke hurried out to her, having been told of Caroline's return. He embraced his daughter, then started to speak with her. Pug lost sight of them as curious questioning onlookers surrounded him. He tried to push his way back to the magician's power tower, but the press of people held him back. Is there no work to be done? A voice roared. Heads turned to see Swordmaster Fanon, followed closely by Thomas. All the keep folk quickly retired, leaving Pug standing before Fanon, Thomas, and those at Duke's court with rank enough to ignore Fanon's remark. Pug could see the princess talking to her father, Liam, Arthur, and Squire Roland. Fanon said, "What happened, boy?" Pug tried to speak, but stopped when he saw the Duke and his sons approaching. Colgan came hurrying behind the Duke, having been alerted by the general commotion in the courtyard. All bowed to the Duke when he approached, and Pug saw Caroline break free of Roland's salutations and follow her father to stand at Pug's side. Lady Mam threw a besieged look heavenward, and Roland followed the girl, an open expression of surprise upon his face. When the princess took Pug's hand in her own, Roland's expression changed to one of black humoured jealousy. Oh, there's gonna be something between them, isn't there? The Duke said, "My daughter has said some very remarkable things about you, boy. I'd like to hear your account." Pug felt suddenly self-conscious and gently disengaged his hand from Caroline's. He recounted the events of the day, with Caroline enthusiastically adding embellishments. Are you sure, Gummy? Well, it is late for you, isn't it? Embellishments. Between the two of them, the Dukes gained a nearly accurate account of things. When Pug finished, Lord Berg asked, "How is it the trolls drowned in a stream, Pug?" Pug looked uncomfortable. "I cast a spell upon them, and they were unable to reach the shore," he said softly. He was still confused by this accomplishment and had not given much thought to it. As the princess had pushed all other thoughts aside, you could see surprise registered on Colgan's face. Pug began to say something, but was interrupted by the Duke's next remark. "Pug, I can't begin to repay you the service you've done my family, but I shall find a suitable reward for your courage." In a burst of enthusiasm, Caroline threw her arms around Pug's neck, hugging him fiercely. Pug stood in embarrassment, looking frantically about as if trying to communicate that this formality was none of his doing. Lady Marana looked ready to faint, and the Duke pointedly coughed, motioning with his head out for his daughter to retire. As she left with the Lady Marana, Kogan and Fallon simply let their amusement show, as did Liam and Ursra. Roland shot Pug an angry, envious look, then turned and headed off towards his own quarters. Lord Borg said to Kogan, "Take this boy to his room. He looks exhausted. I'll order food sent to him. Have him come to the Great Hall after tomorrow's morning meal." He turned to Pug. "Again, I thank you." The Duke motioned for his sons to follow and walked away. Fallon gripped Thomas by the elbow, for a sandy-haired boy had started to speak with his friend. The old swordmaster motioned with his head that the boy should come with him, leaving Pug in peace. Thomas nodded, though he was burning with 1,000 questions. Ay, Dios mío, Gummy. When they had all left, Kogan placed an arm around the boy's shoulder. "Come, Pug, you're tired, and there is much to speak of." Pug lay back on his pallet, the remains of his meal laying on a platter next to him. He couldn't remember ever having been this tired before. Kogan paced back and forth across the room. "It's absolutely incredible." He waved a hand in the air, its red robe surging over his heavy frame like water flowing over a boulder. You close your eyes, and the image of a scroll you saw weeks before appears. You incast the spell as if you're holding the scroll in your hand before you, and it rolls full. Absolutely incredible. Hug and peace. Ugh. Sitting down on a stool near the window, he continued, "Pug, nothing like this has ever been done before. Do you know what you've done?" Pug stared from the edge of a warm, soft sleep and looked at the magician. "Only what I said I did, Kogan." "Yes, but do you have any idea what it means?" "No, neither do I." The magician seemed to collapse inside as his excitement left. replaced by complete uncertainty. I don't have the slightest idea what it all means. Magicians don't toss spells off the top of their heads. Clerics can. But they have different focus and different magic. Do you remember what I told you about focus, Pug? Pug winced, not being in the mood to recite the lesson, but forced himself to sit up. Anyone who employs magic must have a focus for the power he uses. Priests have power to focus their magic through prayer. Their incantations are a form of prayer. Magicians use their bodies or devices or books or scrolls. Correct, said Kogan. But you have just violated this. That's truism. He took out his long pipe and absently stuffed tobacco into a bowl. The spell you incanted cannot use the catcher's body as a focus. It has been developed to inflict great pain upon the other. It can be a very terrible weapon, but it can be cast only by reading from a scroll that is written upon at the time it's cast. Why is this? Pug forced his leaden eyelids open. The scroll itself is magic. True, some magic is intrinsic to the magician, just taking on the shape of an animal or smelling weather. But casting spells outside the body upon something else needs external focus. Trying to incant the spell you used for memory should have been produced terrible pain in you, not the trolls, if it would worked at all. That is why magicians develop scrolls, books, and other devices to focus that sort of magic in a way that will not harm the caster. And until today, I would have sworn that no one alive could have made that spell work without the scroll in hand. Leaning against... Need to actually get closer. Kogan puffed on his pipe for a moment, gazing out in space. It's as if you've discovered a completely new form of magic, he said softly. Hearing no response, Kogan looked down at the boy, who was deeply asleep, shaking his head in wonder. The magician pulled a cover over the exhausted boy. He pulled out the lantern that hung on the wall and let himself out. As he walked up the stairs to his room, he shook his head. Absolutely incredible. Pug waited as the Duke held the court in the great hall. Everyone in the keep and town who could contrive a way to gain entrance to the audience was there. Richly dressed craft masters, merchants, and minor nobles were in attendance. They stood regarding the boy with expressions ranging from wonder to belief to disbelief. The rumor of his deed had spread through the town and had grown in the telling. Pug wore new clothing which had been in his room when he awoke. In his newfound splendor, he felt self-conscious and awkward. The tunic was a bright yellow affair of the costliest silk, and the hose were a soft pastel blue. Pug tried to wiggle his toes in the new boots, the first he had ever worn. Walking in them seemed strange and uncomfortable. At his side, a jeweled dagger hung from a black leather belt with a golden buckle in the form of a golden flight. Pug suspected the clothing had once belonged to one of the Duke's sons, but his side when outgrown, but still looking new and beautiful. The Duke was finishing the morning's business A crestfallen, the shipwrights for guards to accompany a lumber expedition to the Great Forest. Bork was dressed. Yeah. Bork was dressed, as usual, in black, but his sons and daughter wore their finest court regalia. Liam was listening closely to the business before his father. Roland stood behind him, as was the custom. Arthur was in rare good humour, laughing behind an unraised hand at some quip Father Julie had just made. Caroline sat quietly, her face set in a worn smile, looking directly at Pug, which was adding to his discomfort and Roland's irritation. Did the princess fall in love with Pug? I feel like that's gonna be his what's up? His lady, the heroine. Heroine of the book. The Duke gave his permission for a company of guards to accompany the craftsmen into the forest. The Grassmaster gave thanks and bowed, then returned to the crowd, leaving Pug alone before the Duke. The boy stepped forward as Kogan had told him to do, and bowed properly, albeit a little stiffly, before the Lord O'Grady. Smiled at the boy and motioned to Father Tully. The priest removed a document from the sleeve of his familiar's robe and handed it to him, and to a herald. The herald stepped forward and unrolled the scroll. What time is it actually? 8:52. We'll finish this chapter and then we'll read out. Oh, talking of finishing the chapter. It's basically the next page, and we'll go read out, I guess. In a loud voice, he read, "To all within our Demeses, whereas the young youth Pug of the castle of Grady has shown exemplary courage in the act of risking life and limb in defense of the royal person of the Princess Caroline. And whereas the youth Pug of Grady is considered to hold us forever in his debt, it is my wish that he be known to all in the realm as our beloved and royal servant, and is furthermore wished that he is given a place in the court of Grady with the rank of squire, with all rights and privileges pertaining thereunto. Furthermore, let it be known that the title for the estate of Forest Deep is conferred upon him as progeny as long as they shall live, to have and to hold, with servants, properties thereupon." Oh shush, gummy. Ay, Dios mío, je ne sais quoi. Title to this estate shall be held by the crown until the day of his majority. Set this day by my hand and seal Baruch Condoin, 3rd Duke of Grady, Prince of the Kingdom, Lord of Grady, Curse and Tullan, Warden of the Rest, Knight General of the King's armies, heir presumptive to the throne of Relianon. Pug felt his knees go slack, but caught himself before he fell. The room erupted in cheers. People were praising around him, offering their congratulations and slapping him on the back. He was a squire and a landholder with Franklin's house and stock. He was rich, or at least he would be in 3 years when he reached his majority. While he was considered a man of the kingdom at 14, grants of the land and titles can't be conferred until he reached 18. The crowd backed away as the Duke approached. Interesting. Sorry. 18. His family and Roland behind. Both Princess smiled at Pugged, and the princess seemed positively aglow. Roland gave Pug a rueful smile, as if in disbelief. I'm honored. Your Grace, Pug stammered. I don't know what to say. Then say nothing, Pug. It makes you seem wise when everyone is babbling. Come, and we'll have a talk. The Duke motioned for a chair to be placed near his own, as he put an arm around the boy's shoulder and rocked him through the crowd. Sitting down, he said, You may all leave us now. I would speak with the squire. The crowd pressing around, muttering in disappointment, began to drift out of the hall. Except you two, the Duke added, pointing toward Culkin and Tully. Caroline stood by her father's chair and listened to Roland at her side. You as well, my child, said the Duke. Caroline began to protest, but was cut off by her father's stern admiration. You may pester him later, Caroline. The two princess stood at the door, obviously amused at her outrage. Roland tried to offer his arm to the princess, but she pulled away and swept by her grinning brothers. Liam clapped Roland on the shoulder as the embarrassed squire joined them. Roland glared at Pug, who felt the anger like a blow. I guess Roland had something for the princess. That much is for certain. And, well, let's just say the princess has eyes for somebody else now, I think. When the doors clanged closed and the hall was empty, the Duke said, Pay no heed to Roland, Pug. My daughter has him firmly under her spell. He counts himself in love with her and wishes someday to position for her hand. With a lingering look at the closed door, he added almost absently, You'll have to show me he's more than the rack shell he's growing into now if he ever hopes for my consent. Oh, that's such a diss to Roland. The Duke dismissed the topic with a wave of his hand. Now, to other matters, Pug. I have an additional gift for you, but first I want to explain something to you. My family is among the oldest in the kingdom. I, myself, am descendant from a king, from my grandfather, the first Duke of Grady, was the third son to the king. Being of royal blood, we are much concerned with matters of duty and honor. You are now both a member of my court and apprentice of Colgan. In matters of duty, you are responsible to him. In matters of honor, you are responsible to me. This room is hung with trophies and banners of our triumphs. Whether we have been resisting the Dark Brotherhood in their ceaseless efforts to destroy us, or fighting off pirates, we have ever fought bravely. Ours is a proud heritage that has ever known the stain of dishonor, has never known the sin. No member of our court has ever brought shame to us all, and I shall accept the same from you. Pug nodded, tales of glory and honor, remembered from his youth, spinning in his mind. The Duke smiled. Now to the business of your oath, other gift. Father Tully has a document that I asked him to draw up last night. I'm going to ask him to keep it until such time as he deems fit to give it to you. I will say no more on the subject, except that when he gives it to you, I hope you will remember this day and consider long what it says. I will, Your Grace. Pug was sure the Duke was saying something very important, but with all the events of the last half hour, it did not register very well. I will expect you for supper, Pug. As a member of the court, you will not be eating meals in the kitchen anymore. The Duke smiled at him. We will make a young gentleman out of you, boy, and some day, when you travel to the king's city of Rielanon, no one will fault the manners of those who come from the court of Crady. Well, ay, Dios mío. And with that, we are on chapter 5. So I guess two chapters every night would be a good thing to do. What do you think, guys? I think 2 chapters every night is a good thing to do. And with that being said, hey, thank you, Headpad. But sadly, I do not have my model, so headpads do not work. I forgot, and we shall give you back your points for that, I think. Yes, you have K. Yeah, thank you for spell. But how are you doing? You doing good? So what do you think of the book so far? Is it good? Is it bad? Are you enjoying it so far? I think I'm enjoying it quite much, actually. I'd love to see what happened to the pug. So apparently he has made a new type of magic, or he has a particular. Aw, poor Forspill. But yeah, it just slowly getting more interesting. I think it's like the background sort of stuff at the beginning, and I'm sure it'll become much better as it moves along, gets faster. That's because you weren't even there, Gummy, at the beginning. Basically, what happened at the beginning was Pug was out in the shores collecting crabs and things, but then a storm came in. So he had to run fast back to the keep, but he was stuck. And Colgan actually saved him from the storm and brought him to his shack in the forest. In the forest, Colgan gave Pug a seeing eye, a glass orb, basically, that let him see different things in the castle and whatnot, or anywhere in the world, basically. A seeing eye. And he was able to do it. He was able to see into the pool. And that's how Kogan knew he was a magician. Yeah, did he sleep well for a spell, though? And basically what happens... But yeah, basically after that, Kogan had to take Pug as an apprentice, really, now. And now he's a... what's it? Steward, wasn't he? Squire, that's it. So basically, he went from an orphan boy to an apprentice and now to a squire. That's certainly of a level up, that's for sure. And he was having a lot of trouble as well with the magic when he first came to be apprentice. So yeah, I guess that's the end of the stream, and we shall find a way, or find someone to raid out to. Who is live is the question. Oh, Iota! Prodigy, Death Dealer. Yeah, as always, the Cookie Box Club has entered. Who shall we raid into? Who's Startup Beauty? I have no idea. Cryox, now we've been with them, we raided them before. And Sebastian, Ruby, Star Summer, no idea who that is. Capri's, nah. 80 Prodigy? Let's do raid 80 Prodigy, why not? I raided him before? I don't remember. If not, we'll raid into him. Yeah, he is playing Fortnite. Yeah. Yeah. As always, thank you again, thank you chat, and thank you for being here in general. Without you guys, I would not be here at all. A massive thanks for everyone being here, and thank you for the sub, Gummy. That is really awesome of you. I had a wonderful time enjoying the book, as I am, because I'm actually enjoying it quite a lot. And I hope you'll have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, evening, night, or whatever time it is where you're at. Please go get some food, water, go to the toilets, go to sleep if you need to. Do that after stream care. We will be raiding out to an awesome streamer called let's get raid and based. The AD Prodigy. Yeah, he is currently live playing some Fortnite, which is really awesome. As always, the raid message to Cookie Box Club has entered. The wavy tail and me eating cookies is subbed. The purple hearts and the numb cookies is the follows. Next stream will be on Thursday. I'll probably be playing some Boulder Gates. I'll actually continue that game up. I think Boulder Gates will be every Thursday from now on, because I do want to do some more stuff with Boulder Gates and try and get ahead, because I am not, because it is a very fun game, but oh my god, it is a lot. So yeah, every Thursday will be Boulder Gates. And Friday will be the 12-hour stream, 3 different games, and I'll be playing Bloodborne. So with that being said and done, I think it's time to say bye and adieu. Yeah.